morning, class. So, Joseph Stover, and today I was going to be talking to you about the logo design behind Fireside Meeples. The very first thing I wanted to do was figure out, how to support my, the kind of the core image of Fireside Meeples, which is a family-directed board game store, not necessarily just a card game shop. So the very first thing when I was looking at this is I wanted to go to see what some of the most popular board games were, right? So on the right side over here, you can see that Catan has 86,000 number of votes. Doesn't mean it's necessarily ranked number one, but it has the most votes. So okay, the most people have seen this game and played it. Followed by Carcassonne, a Pandemic, and Seven Wonders. Seven Wonders is kind of out of the question because it's a card only game. It has a couple like board game elements, but it's primarily a card game. So that kind of left me with the last three to see to draw any inspiration from. So the most popular one here is Catan, Settlers of Catan. A lot of you guys have probably heard of this game. Unfortunately, the design elements of this game are very simple. This game was made in 1995. The houses are extremely generic. The little, road pieces are generic. The robber sitting there in the middle. It's all very generic, right? None of this stands out. The hexagonal tile is something that is very strongly associated with Settlers of Catan, which once again, Settlers of Catan has a very good name for itself. So I wanted to keep looking. The other game was Pandemic. So Pandemic, once again, these looks like pieces out of the game Sorry. The cubes are once again very generic. The house also very generic. Um, Not a lot of uniqueness going on this. So this one I couldn't honestly find anything to pull from. So the last one is the game of Carcassonne. So these are Carcassonne. They're called Meeples. If you remember, my name of my company is called Fireside Meeples. Meeples has turned into so Meeples it stands for my person, right? So this is a very strong connotation with pretty much all board gamers now because all board game components have some type of way to represent your person. If you look at this is the number 9th ranked game as far as like whether or not people like it the most is called Scythe. So these are all technically considered meeples at this point. They're all very custom designed. The little people look a lot different, than the previous one. Again, this is Settlers. This is Carcassonne, and this has honestly become the de facto image for meeples. This little kind of wide guy with his arms sticking out. But the name itself has evolved into meaning like all of this that you see in front of you. So if you notice on my original image, this is the same game of Scythe. It's using the hexagonal tiles. It's using custom meeples, but it still has that my person look. With the little tiny arms and the head. It just looks a little different than the Carcassonne ones. So this was my very first idea. All right, I wanted to combine elements of both of those using relaxing colors. Once again, even with the name Fireside, I want people to think of sitting next to your fireplace with family playing games, right? So greens, blues. I'm sorry, yeah, greens and violets, and actually pink. These are all relaxing colors. So I definitely wanted to keep inside of that sphere. I didn't want to go with reds and oranges. Even though when we think of fire, we do think of, red, but that's not really the point I was going with. So this was my first design I went with. So once again, using hexagonal tiles with the actual meeple image himself. Right, so nothing really to do with Fireside on this one, right? Our fireplace is relaxing, just kind of a more, I want to say, generic game idea company so that the most amount of people would be able to identify with it. This was my second idea, actually combining the fire, but turning instead of a red into, once again, a more light blue. I'm colorblind, so if I'm saying the names incorrectly, I'm sorry. I'm just going with what it looks like to me. This one I'm also not extremely happy with because it doesn't really differentiate me from any other company that uses Meeples in its name. Meeples is very common, and when I was trying to find a name to come up with my business idea, like Meeple Madness, all of these names were taken. So this is the name I ended up with, but using this logo, it is a pretty generic, once again, generic image of a meeple. The fire does look a little different, look a little, less angry and more literal fire. So this was my next one. So once again, kind of more going with the Fireside idea itself. So this is a picture of a fireplace with the elements from the first list. I kind of like how this one turned out. Again, I went more on greens on this one because it is kind of more of an outdoorsy, fireside. You could even think around like sitting around a campfire. So this one I definitely want to go more with greens. This is the one I eventually ended up settling on. This one, I like simplicity. I think it stands better in people's minds than this one, which kind of has a lot of design elements going on with it, right? So you're not really sure what you're supposed to focus on, whether it's the hexagonal tiles, the meeples themselves, the fireplace, or even the name, right? This one kind of more throws in your face, which I like. People can anyone be able to identify that kind of follows the hobby at all. That, oh wow, hey, here's a meeple. Hey, it's sitting next to a fireplace. Oh, okay, it's Fireside. Okay, that makes sense. I just felt like it kind of immediately kind of got that core message over a little better. I feel like this one is a lot more legible. I feel like it appeals to my target market of someone that likes to play a variety of games more than some of the other ones that I created. So the only thing else I would like to grow up on this image or the name itself is that somebody that doesn't necessarily follow the hobby, but they enjoy playing, games. They enjoy playing the Settlers of Catan and Pandemic, but they don't necessarily follow the hobby. They may not realize that what a meeple actually stands for. So I would like to throw in some way to identify, that we're a board game store other than the meeple for the people that don't know. So I'm not sure if to go with Fireside Meeples in games. Once again, games could mean anything, right? Video games, card games, lottery games, poker games. So I'd have to figure out a different way or maybe a more optimal way. But for right now, I think this is off to a really good start, and I'm pretty happy with it. All right, let me know what you guys think.